Arknights has been around for a while, and over the years has accumulated a long list of varied 6 stars. Why we have 6 stars that can insta-kill every enemy, make all your operators immortal, kill every enemy in range, make all of your operators immortal and kill every enemy in range, and finally 6 stars that can be vigil. With such a wide variety of skill sets, how are we supposed to pick what 6 stars to build? Well, it's important to know what you want out of 6 stars. In my case, I played the game with 4 stars only. I started playing with 4 stars specifically because 6 stars are so strong they made the game boring. Using Silver Rush felt like cheating instead of playing the game, but sometimes there are days when I don't want to play Arknights. I just want to clear the stages, get the rewards with as little effort as possible. There are plenty of AFK guides on YouTube for people less lazy than me, but if I wanted to put in the smallest amount of effort, I would be using 4 stars. When I use 6 stars, watching the first 30 seconds of an AFK video is already too much work. No. I want to win with the smallest amount of neurons used. To achieve this, I need a very particular set of 6 stars. Before we get into the good ones, let's go over some very bad 6 stars. Understand, the goal here isn't to have good operators or for it to be easy. It's to get all the event rewards with as little input as humanly possible. The goal is to not play Arknights. So, the two worst 6 stars are Texas Outer and Yatu Outer. If you're willing to pay attention to the game once every 20 seconds and mindlessly deploy one or the other, they do great damage. Some would even say they're broken. But if I was willing to do that, I would just use 4 stars. So both fast redeploy operators are trash to me. What the fuck is a Phantom? Next on the list of terrible operators, Thorns. A lot of casual players say they play in a very brain-dead AFK way and then they go and use fucking Thorns. The hypocrisy. You're telling me I have to deploy Thorns, wait around until his fucking offensive recovery skill charges, then wait around until it ends and charges again. All that work for some infinite duration skill. What was it all for? So he can shoot some random drone? Just drop Blaze and a random sniper and AFK? It's less work. Mountain is closer to good, but he requires one more click than Blaze, so half as good as Blaze as far as I'm concerned. The final bad 6 star is Link for much the same reasons. If I was willing to stick around and deploy her summons, I'd just use 4 stars. With the bad 6 stars discarded, we can now look into the good 6 stars. Let's start with the best operator in the game, Blaze. Unlike those fake infinite duration skills we saw earlier, you just deploy Blaze. No annoying extra clicks needed. Her attack is high enough to get past the defenses of elites and her own defense is high enough to be a tank. Also, she ignores one-shots. For those times where you over AFK, the closest operator to her quality is Mudrock, but because of her high DP cost, I have to wait 10 more seconds before I can AFK. Easy win for Blaze. Her biggest downside is that she is a cat. Cats like fish, so she will drag the third most disgusting thing in the game over here. I remember when I was 4 or 5 years old, back in kindergarten they fed us fish once. It was the most disgusting thing I've ever tasted, and it instantly ended up on the floor. I've tried to eat seafood a few times since then, but it never went any better. I hate seafood so much. Oh, sorry, I was thinking about our next operator and got distracted. Skadi, the disgusting fish woman. Now, Skadi will tell you that Skadi is an orca and therefore not a fish. Does this shit look like an orca to you? Anyhow, the disgusting fish woman turns melee operators into Blaze. Blaze is good and more Blaze is gooder. Skadi does something to ranged operators too, but Blaze on a ranged tile isn't Blaze, so I don't Blaze. She can also summon a disgusting Skadi fish to turn operators into Blaze temporarily. Now, this comes with the huge downside of having Scouter in your squad. I understand if you're unwilling to do this just for AFKing. It's a hard cross to bear, but there is no evil I will not commit in order to play the game less. Next, we have 8 SP Myrtle Supplementary Pack. God tier Myrtle buff that lets you deploy Blaze 8 seconds faster. The faster you deploy Blaze, the faster you can AFK. As a bonus, the Myrtle buff is too Vignos in a trench coat, but making use of that requires pressing buttons. That can't be allowed. Back to Blaze. Here we have an operator nicknamed Horn for some reason. I haven't the slightest clue why the community calls Bond Blaze that, but it is what it is. To be honest, I have no idea what Bond Blaze does. She's a defender, so I assume you use her to block things. There, that works fine. She is here because Blaze is good and Bond Blaze is Blaze. More Blaze is gooder. While Blaze can kill pretty much everything by herself, occasionally you have some random enemy with 3000 defense or something. Blaze will kill them, but I have to out and tap twice to check before she is finished. That's more work for me, so we can't have that. So in those circumstances we can use the pink cat for that. Why is she called Golden Glow anyway? She's pink, not blonde. Is it just for alliteration? To be honest, I've never used her. Clicking Scouter range is plenty for anything. But this video is about 6 star operators and I assume Pink Glow. No, that sounds like a sex toy company. Golden Glow is at least as good as Click. While her horrible attack animation may disappoint you when compared to Click's, I will be too AFK to notice. On to the scary fish lady. Unlike Skadi, this fish lady is actually a fish. You may be wondering why she isn't a disgusting fish woman. Is it because she has rows of teeth? A little bit. but more importantly Spectre isn't part Scuddy. I've learned through osmosis that Spectre is considered a strong 6-star, but the reason I use her has nothing to do with her skills, or what her dough does. This is why I use her. That was really fucking loud. You just stick her in front of Blaze and when something manages to kill her. I could be playing synthetic and when I hear I can pause, out and tab, use the red button operator, insta-kill whatever killed Spectre and go back to synthetic. Wonderful alarm system. Finally we get to one of the most important operators, the red button. But who is this mysterious red button? They are Silverash, they are Aya, they are Meowner. They are any operator where you press a red button and you halve the map. Spectre is our alarm system, the red button is what the alarm system is for. You can use any number of operators for this. I use Irene myself. As long as they have a delete half the map skill, you're golden. It matters even less if you place them in the Fishwoman range. As a red button supplement, you can use the 6-star operator Shamare. They have a rather extreme cost in that you are legally required to buy their skin before you can deploy them, but once you set them up, they can throw a dough anywhere on the map that makes enemies do 0 damage and completely cripples their defense. She isn't really AFK, so Shamare is only worth using if you think your red button operator will need some help. Wait, she's a 5-star, what the f? An operator that deserves special mention is Degen. The goal when I use 6 stars is to play the game as little as possible, and while Degen helps with that, her methods are a bit different from every other operator on this list. Just look at her. Who the fuck wears an orange shirt with a brown suit? My god, that's so disgusting. I regret being born with eyes. Just getting this image for this video made me want to uninstall. Ah, you wanna know what she does in bottle? Generic red button operator. Press button, one-shot everything. Apparently she is being called good. I'm sure she will be bad in 2 years, so don't worry about it. Second most disgusting thing in the game, worse than the Fishwoman. 9 out of 10 for playing Arknights less. And finally, Weedy. Sometimes when they add a 6-star to an archetype that didn't have one before, it's difficult to make something unique and powerful while still keeping it part of the archetype. So to fix this they often go the mountain route. How do we make a good 6-star brawler? Fuck that, just make an AoE guard. With Upi and out it's funny to see they did the exact same thing there. Why the fuck is it always an AoE guard? Weedy isn't like this, she's the epitome of what a pusher is. Her talent gives her a cannon that can be deployed anywhere in the map. It pushes enemies slightly and also charges SP if it is next to Weedy. While she only has one talent, it's a very flexible one. Sometimes AG can think of 3 skills for a 6-star, so they stick 100% defense on S1 and call it a day. Weedy has 3 skills unique to her and all of them can be useful. Her skill 1 is the least used of the 3. It's a standard 2 enemy push all pushers have, but with a stun on top of it. This is rarely useful compared to her other skills, but it can completely shut down certain enemies with slow attacks. Her skill 2 is a proper infinite duration skill. It increases her attack damage and range, and every attack is an AoE that pushes enemies back slightly. The push from this skill is 1 level of force weaker than Shao S2, so it's a constant shove that can stall a large group of low weight enemies, but it's not as good against high weight enemies. This is where her skill 3 comes in. It fires a projectile that does AoE damage and knockback, same as Shao S2. It does true damage based on knockback distance and has the strongest knockback in the game. Her talent interacts with her skill 2. If the cannon is next to her, the blast is even stronger with even more knockback, so she can push enemies that no other pusher can. The cannon also fires its own S3 shot. If it's next to Weedy, she can even do things like fire it in 2 directions at once. Despite its insane power, her skill 3 has a small downside. Its SP cost is almost twice as high as what Shao or Fitter S2 have to work with. So if you need to stall certain enemies in a small space, it's harder to make it work. This is a small downside though, because it will knock enemies further away and can push enemies that Shao and Fitter can't. Her only downside is that the archetype is called Push Stroker, which is the worst name in the history of the universe. Sorry, I kinda zoned out. What were we talking about?